Hey, leave the driving to us. It's a Friday. I'm Joe Jaquin, CEO, Patriot Trading Group. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. I am still locked up in my bedroom doing a show from the landline as I continue to recover from COVID-19. Obviously, continue with your prayers. Let's pull together. Let's get Eric out of the hospital. Let's get him in our thoughts, get him in our prayers as he is still battling COVID in the hospital right now. Don't have a lot of news there. It's hard to get news. It's one of these things where, you know, when you get it, you're not allowed visitors. Your wife can't see you. Your kids can't see. Nobody can see you. You don't have access to the doctors. It's hard to even get any information from the hospitals, and a frustrating time. I know Lori, Eric's kids, they're all frustrated. So if we could keep them in our prayers, I'd appreciate it very, very much. AllAmericanGold.com is the website. It is Friday next week. I will be, my quarantine has been continued. So next week, at least part of the week, I'll still be here. Hopefully by the end of the week, I'll be able to at least go to the office, do a show in the studio. Right now, I'm no longer contagious. I can't get anybody sick. I have the antibodies, at least for however long they last, but they're worried about me getting pneumonia again from, just being out and about. Even a cold right now would be a tough thing for me to deal with. So that's why they extended it, and I'll keep you abreast. Like I said, next Wednesday, I have my next, appointment. That'll probably be when I'll get more information. 800-951-0592. That is our toll-free number. Gold and silver physical delivery. The markets, we had a pullback for 24 hours. It's gone. Gold markets are up. Silver markets are up. Product is getting really, really difficult here as we end the week to get. We ran those $5 Liberties yesterday. They're gone. We just blew them out. Matter of fact, actually oversold a few coins. But this is just what you're going to start seeing. I think this is going to be the gold and silver market for the rest of the year. We've seen it in the silver side. And availability. We've seen it in the gold side with availability, and all of a sudden, normally July is not a month where you have a lot of inventory problems because everybody's on vacation. It's a slower time, and of course, obviously this year nobody's on vacation, right? Vacation has been canceled. Gold and silver have been running, and now product has become very difficult to get on certain days of the week. Today was the worst day of the week as far as what was out there. I'm still chasing a few things. I got Glenn with me. Glenn, you're with me. Glenn, I've just started checking some emails, and so if you've emailed me, questions or want me to talk about something, I probably haven't seen it yet. But I did get a couple of people were asking if I knew how I got it. And the answer was no, I don't know. There's, in my immediate circle of friends, I'm the only one that got it. Obviously, Eric, I don't know, we're making an assumption. I'm making an assumption that I gave it to him. Could have been the other way around. I guess he could have gave it to me. I don't know. There's not a particular event or a close personal friend who had it and I was with them or something like that. I don't know. Don't know how I got it. I know this as I had said. Erica was worried about it, worried about getting it. I never really was, and it was just because of the numbers. In Arizona, the death rate is under 2%. you get COVID in Arizona, the chances of you dying from it are, I want to say it's 1.8%. So the chances of it not killing you, right, is like 98.2%. And I'm like, Eric, come on, look at these numbers. It's such a minute chance. And then for both of us to be as sick as we were, and as close to, I guess, the, not making it, it's definitely scared the crap out of me, Glenn. I'll admit to that. It was a horrible, horrible experience, and according to the numbers anyway, maybe one of us, Eric or I, could have been, significantly sick, but the numbers say that both of us shouldn't have been, but that's just how it went.
Yeah, and it's a good thing you're not in Florida with the 97% positive rate that got the bunk down to 9.7. So you can't tell me that decimal point was an accident. That's no way.
And
no way,
all of these
no how.
Tests, the test. I think that's the other comment I get a lot is the people don't believe the test. And of course, in my experience, the wrong result delayed the treatment for it, which allowed for Eric and I both to get a lot sicker than we should have. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. $800-951-0592. If you can, put a shot of Jack in the coffee and raise your glass for Eric today as he continues to battle here with the COVID experience. And part of the biggest thing, when we talk about what we do, right? Obviously, the dollar's under pressure. I've been talking about it a little bit since I've gotten back. I will tell you that my recovery has slowed the last 3 days. And I thought I'd be farther along than I am, and so I haven't done the research that I want to do. I'm working on it. Next week, I hope to do a big dollar show, and the reason is because there's a big move coming to the downside on the dollar, and it's actually we've already started. The move's already started, but I want to get all my ducks in a row. Give you put it together for you very simply. I expect the dollar to be in the 80s before the end of the year. For those of you that don't know what that means, I'll explain it to you. But the dollar, it's a comparison against the basket of currencies like the euro and the yen and the pound. I guess we got to throw the renminbi. It is now a reserve currency. Throw that in there as well. And it's kind of like a score. How you doing strength-wise relative to these other currencies? And the euro is definitely breaking out to the upside. And when you look at debts, that's what you look at. Europe, Italy had it really bad. France and Germany and Spain had, significant cases, but overall they handled it better than we did. And I say that just on results, right? They handled it better than we did, and they didn't have the amount of spending and deficit spending that we're having. Yesterday I saw they've already agreed to $1.3 trillion in, I guess, the next round of stimulus. Nancy Pelosi's right, though. And it's Jack Daniels Friday to say that I'm going to agree with Nancy Pelosi on something, but it's not enough. It's not enough. It's that bill. If it's only $1.3 trillion, be ready for a major Wall Street pullback because it's just nowhere close to enough. I think by the time it's all said and done, we'll see a number between 2 and 3 trillion. But we're going to have to wait and see. Already the delay. This, in my opinion, should have been something that got put into place right as the $600 a week, because everything expires pretty much at the end of the month. So in the next 2 weeks, all these little moratoriums on foreclosures and the extra unemployment benefits, all that stuff comes to an end. We needed something in place to replace that from the get-go. We're not going to get that, and I think you're going to see a significant reaction to not having that as well. So be ready for that. Be ready for that. But I look at the COVID and my experience as a reason why this is going to get worse before it gets better. So the first day that I got tested was a Wednesday, and I got tested at the hospital. I had actually called in to get a COVID test. That was my first indication of something's wrong. When we had, you were trying to make an appointment to get a test, and Glenn, it was an all-day process. My wife was on the phone trying, and you got to call different places, and it wasn't as organized as I thought it would be. It's been a while, right? We're talking, this was the end of June. Just the end of June. And in my mind, I was thinking, well, yeah, whoever needs to get a COVID test, they can go somewhere and get one the same day. That's hard to do. It was very hard to do. Matter of fact, we got lucky to get it. And when I was there waiting for my to take my test, I had a panic attack in the lobby and was actually taken by ambulance to a hospital where I got my first COVID test. Was at the emergency room of a local hospital. And they came back and told me I didn't have it. They said I had flu A and flu B, but not COVID. And if they had come back and said I had had it, I believe they would have gave me hydroxychloroquine. I believe that's what they would have done. And if they wouldn't have done it, my wife we would have done it. We would have, called our family doctor and gotten it if we had to have. But that would have been the course. You want to get that hydroxychloroquine early on. Just so happens, I go 4 days thinking I don't have it, to when they call and say, I do have it. And all of a sudden, I can't take the hydroxychloroquine because my heart had enlarged to the point where they said, okay, we can't give you that drug. If you've got an enlarged heart, apparently hydroxychloroquine's a no-go. And so now all of a sudden, something that I believe, had I gotten the proper test and the proper result, I could have been prescribed the proper medication, and I think by at least in my mind, I don't go to the hospital, right? I don't have any of these problems. Eric knows right away, hey, I'm positive you better go get tested, because he didn't go get tested either, because I was negative. And so I just think, Glenn, right from the beginning, there's a screw up, and there's a problem with the testing. The next thing is we should have, in my opinion, we should have our best hospitals, right? And everybody knows Phoenix is a big city, right? Denver's a big city. There's good hospitals, there's bad hospitals, right? There's high and bad hospitals. Hey, that hospital's fine for a broken arm, right? That hospital's fine to go get 5-6 stitches. But if you've got a battle for your life, that's not the place you want to be. And I just feel like our best hospitals should have been made COVID only, had our best doctors, our best way, because, we're still learning how to treat this. I'll say this. There's no doubt in my mind, none, had I been a resident of New York, and I had what happened to me happened in New York, and it happened in March, I would be dead. No doubt in my mind. Because of how they were trying to treat this back then versus what they've learned. They're treating it differently. I believe that we have gotten better at treating this thing. And I think that part of the reason I'm alive is, hey, I got it later and in a different state, and we learned something. And I think all of our people, I think if everybody was at our best hospitals, right, and just like the thing, I don't believe that we should close. This is crazy. I still think this is absolute economic suicide, closing down. No, it's never been done before. And is this the thing? And I think what we should have done, at least in my opinion, is everything should have been about care. Get the best test, get the best care, get the best this, the best that. So that way, if you do get sick, we're going to be all over it. We're going to be, this thing, it changes. What was proper protocol a month ago is no longer proper protocol today. And things like of that nature. And it just seems to me, anyway, Glenn, that we're not doing that. This is kind of still a hodgepodge of, wear a mask, don't wear a mask type things, and the big picture's being missed here. And I think this is going to cause problems. Well, it's causing problems today, right? Because we're seeing it now with this new wave and everybody's reclosing and all of these things. I think my story's a good one. The fact that we got the wrong test results early on, it really has led to a lot of the issues that I had and Eric's had, because we couldn't take things that, at least today, we know hydroxychloroquine, no matter what they tell you on CNN, hydroxychloroquine works. You just got to be able to take it soon enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's exactly what I think's going on, Joe. And the other thing is, with all the information and misinformation that's out there, wear the mask, don't wear the mask, and that was a big ball drop at the beginning of this about whether a mask is good or it's not good. And when you look at the size of particles and what mask stops what particle and all that, or is it just a feel-good thing to try to get people to think that maybe get a false sense of security? I mean, I wear the mask when I have to wear the mask, just because you have to do that now in society if you want to go into certain places. So if you want to be a functional part of society, you kind of got to play their game, and whether that's intentional or unintentional or the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do is a whole other point. The thing is, people now have, fool me once, fool me twice type of thing. I mean, people are going to be very reluctant if they try a second shutdown, because they're like, look, we did what you wanted us to do. We did the 14-day shutdown like you told us would work, and now you're telling us it's not working? Because, like you said yesterday, this thing has been weaponized, it's been politicized, it's been monetized, and it's also been proselytized. If you think about the cult of the mask wearing now, where you're shamed for wanting to exercise your freedom. Now, I haven't had it yet, and like you have a whole other outlook on it because you've had it. I have not had it yet, and I have not changed my life accordingly to it. I mean, I do what I have to do, but I'm still living my life as normal, and I'm at the beach right now, and I can tell you right now, and nobody's wearing a mask. There's no social distancing, and it's like business as usual down here at the beach. And I think people are just saying, you know what, I'm just going to roll the dice. I'm young, I can handle it. And I think that's where a lot of people are on this because they have COVID-19 fatigue. What do you think about that, Joe?
I'm going to tell you right now, so you bring up a great point, which is most people, I think, operate under the, like before with me, right? Hey, it's less than 2% chance anything's really going to happen. And the numbers are so staggering. I don't know what the percentage of people that have COVID are asymptomatic, but it's huge, right? It's like, I don't even know, 60-70% of the people had a 1-day cold or a 2-day cold or less. Well, we'll talk more about it after the break. When we get back into it, I want to talk about the businesses. I want to talk about people's thought process and what it means, obviously, economically for all of us.
This is the Phyllis Schlafly Report, a daily look at the significant issues of our time from an experienced conservative perspective. Sponsored by Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, this broadcast continues the legacy of Phyllis Schlafly and stands against forces that mock traditional values, slander America, and redefine the family. Now, the president of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, Ed Martin.
President Trump made a smart move by not letting Democrats get away with giving stimulus checks to illegal immigrants. However, some liberals are trying to get around this by offering free money to illegals on their own. The state of California was one of the first to decide to give these handouts. Colleges like the University of Washington and the University of Colorado are doing the same thing. It should not come as a surprise to anyone that liberal enclaves like California and the academic elites are pulling crazy stunts like this, but it's clearly outside the mainstream. A survey by the Pew Research Center found that only 37% of Americans want to provide help to undocumented immigrants in light of COVID-19. Even Democrats favor it by just 56%. Clearly, the only people who actually want to give out money to illegals are the kind of money grows on trees liberals who favor just about any handout Big Brother will provide. Yet the politically correct dogma of multiculturalism doesn't care what the American people actually want. Politicians who support giving stimulus checks to illegal immigrants are completely out of touch with the people who pay the taxes that fund these stimulus checks. It might not be politically correct to say this, but we can't cater to illegals if we're going to stop the flow coming across our southern border. If you dish out checks the size of a Guatemalan's month's salary as a reward to people who break our laws by coming here, should we be surprised when more of them decide to come? That doesn't just apply to COVID-19 stimulus checks either. The same could be said of any of the dozens of federal government handouts. I'm totally in favor of building a big, beautiful wall on our southern border. But we can't stop there. We need to create a political system that favors the rights of American citizens, including legal immigrants, while discouraging illegal immigrants from flouting the laws to take what doesn't belong to them. That's why the American people don't want free money for illegal immigrants.
This has been the Phyllis Schlafly Report from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. Illegal immigration burdens our schools and social services and opens doors to criminals and terrorists. Outdated visa programs divert jobs from Americans. PhyllisSchlafly.com chronicles these outrageous unfair practices and provides answers. Go online to PhyllisSchlafly.com. Thanks for listening, and join us next time for the Phyllis Schlafly Report.
Hey, we're back talking about the experience. Glenn talking about the beaches in Maryland, saying, hey, nobody here's got a mask on, right? Social distancing, yeah, not really. Here in Arizona, mask pretty much mandatory everywhere now. And I think you're seeing a lot of the retailers this week, whether or not your state is saying mask or no mask, they're now all saying you got to wear mask. I will tell you, a mask for me is hard, and it's because this anxiety, it's difficult. So now I avoid doing things because I don't want to put that mask on, and not because I care about the mask or not, right? I think that's less of it. For me, it's a psychological issue. It just sets me off. And I'm hoping here, sooner rather than later, I'm hoping this anxiety thing goes away. Right now, that's not the case for me. And apparently, according to my doctor yesterday, that's not the case for most people with COVID. This anxiety thing stays with you for a while. But again, the shutdown side of it, where we think about going back to school. Parents would, just gone nuts. What do you mean my kid's not going to school? Bull crap, he's going to school. Right? I mean, that's my attitude.
There's the other side to it, too, where, I'm not sending my kid back to school if he has to wear a mask for 6 hours a day. That's not happening. Or you have the teachers' unions that are saying, oh, no, we feel that our teachers may get COVID from the kids.
The teachers got more at risk.
Yeah.
Right? And again, I've been thinking a lot about this. I think all the teachers and all the front line, all the hospital staff, and I don't care if you're the janitor or the head DO, right? If we're going to incentivize pay, it shouldn't have been, here's an extra $600 and make more than you did before on an unemployment check. That shouldn't have happened. This should be, here's a big pay raise for the year, right? And I don't know the number, okay? I don't. But maybe it's $1,000 a month on top of, right? So if you're making $50,000, hey, this year you're going to make $62,000 because of the COVID. So you're going to get extra money in your pocket for putting yourself in harm's way. Number one. Number two, we should be stressing the care that you're going to get. So that way, if you are sick, we're on it. You're going to be at our best hospitals, with our best doctors, with our best treatments. I'm making an assumption, and it may not be right, but I'm assuming Eric and I got the same strain. In other words, I gave it to him or he gave it to me, whatever, but we probably shared the same COVID strain. We went to two different hospitals. Only one drug that Eric's been given matched what I was given. Only one. I've got that remdesivir or whatever it's called. I want to say it was Gilead's drug. It worked wonders for me. Right? Eric didn't get that drug. Didn't even get offered that drug. All the different drugs that he's taking were not drugs that I took. I mean, and again, obviously there's other, Eric has high blood pressure. I don't. Okay, so there are, we aren't identical, right? He had different issues. I'll call them pre-existing conditions that I didn't have, and vice versa. But for the treatment to be so different, and I just look at the results. Right? I was in the hospital for 5 days. Eric's been in the hospital now almost 2 weeks, and he's still in there. And again, I think this is just part of the, we don't have our, our SHI, we don't have our act together. and everywhere that I went to, every doctor that I've talked to, and they said it in my doctor's appointment the other day, we're still learning. We're still learning. We're still learning. We're still learning. Well, shouldn't we then make sure that we're learning at the best places? Have all the COVID people at the best hospitals with the best doctors, getting the best care. I mean, that to me, Glenn, would speed this along.
Yeah, I'm thinking like over here where I am. You always talk about Johnny Hopkins. They're right in Baltimore. They're right near me. And like you say, there are hospitals and there are other hospitals. You're right about that. There are certain hospitals you go to where I'm around and certain places you don't go. And obviously, if you could get into Johns Hopkins, you would have it made probably, because that's the top research center probably on the East Coast, I would think. And obviously, they were driving the train on the shutdowns, as you said. You know, they were
right.
They stopped the NCAA in their tracks on the basketball, the March Madness. And everything just went from there.
Insurance be damned. Here's what's funny. Before I went to Mayo, we made sure they took our insurance. My wife made sure that they took our insurance. I mean, that was actually a factor that shouldn't be a factor. Right? COVID, at least in my opinion, hey, if you're in the hospital for COVID, don't worry, it's paid for, it's covered. Right? Now, those are the things that we need to do to get people, I think, to go back to work and to reopen the country. And I just think we went about this totally backwards. Right? We're trying to do the impossible, which is we don't want anybody to get this. It's not possible. I mean, we've got Navy ships that have been out at sea for 20, 30, 40 days. And all of a sudden, they got COVID. I don't know. And this starts with the federal government, too. Donald Trump, failing grade for me on this. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back right after the break. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour on this Friday. Just putting thoughts together after the events that I've been through, and Eric's, who's been through way more. Frustrated because I feel like if the country was more together, we could be in a better place than where we're at. But having said that, we're trying to do the impossible, which is no one get it. That's not going to happen. And so I just feel like we need to go the other way and say, okay, teachers, schools, right, you guys are going to be in harm's way. Obviously, the healthcare people, harm's way. There's got to be a reward for that, a financial reward, in my opinion. The other thing is, I don't think anybody should pay anything COVID-related. If you got to go get a COVID test, it should be free. And some are, but believe me, in Arizona, if you actually want to get a test today, you're going to pay. Now, if you want to get a test forward 4 or 5 days from today and wait another 4 or 5 days for the results, then maybe you can get one for free. Any prescription, any hospitalization, any emergency room visit should cost nothing. That's just where I think how we should be spending the money. Right? Businesses got to be open. Schools got to be open. And we've got to fight this thing with our best.
That's exactly right.
That means
that's exactly
everybody
right,
goes to the best hospitals. We take the best hospitals in every city in every state and say, this is where the COVID patients go. Because we're still learning.
And Joe, think about all the people at the height of the pandemic that did not go to the hospital because they were scared about COVID-19, that had other legitimate health issues like cancer or heart issues and certain things. I mean, all those people that were scared to death to go to the hospital just from fear, the fear that the media has thrown into everybody. And that's one thing that people just need to have a quarantine on right now is the media, because they are absolutely stoking this whole thing. The 24-hour news cycle, they just can't live without it. I mean, it's terrible.
I look
terrible.
at it this way. CNN cheerleads numbers, right? They love it. 50, 60, 70, 80, 90,000 people today got COVID. Right?
Same thing. Same thing with the Drudge Report. If you look at their banner, the red headline, same thing. You're exactly right. And then if you look at as you go down, it's just sensational headline after sensational headline after sensational headline. On the news stations, they're playing the scary music in the background with the crazy graphics. I mean, it's all intentional, I think, to whip people up into a frenzy to just scare them. And that's not good. We don't need that. I mean,
we don't need it.
But
we don't need
it's
it.
All ratings. It's all ratings.
If this thing is as bad as they say, and let me tell you, I was close call for me. Then we should be together, and I don't care what side of the aisle, Democrat, Republican, CNN, Fox, and we're just not. And they go out of their way to cause the chasm and the divide. It's like Fauci. Listen, the people that do the research about Dr. Fauci, you got doubts. Believe me, I didn't. Listen, I never heard of the guy until COVID. But then I started listening to like Steve Starrs and some of the other great hosts we have at 1360. Hey, this guy's blown it before. And I don't know. I just feel like we've missed the boat here, and we've done trying to do the impossible and shutting down all of these businesses. The hardship that is coming. These guys are clueless. I'm looking at the headlines right now on the TV, and they're talking about how Mnuchin and Kudlow are battling and debating over the next stimulus. And my guess is Larry Kudlow wants a lot more, right, and Steve Mnuchin wants a lot less. But the realities is we need all of this money to be spent because we've shut all these businesses. Think about as a business owner. I'm a business owner. I'm so fortunate that I've got guys like Jason and Glenn and Wendy and Arlene and Brooke and Brian and all these guys that help me run my business while I've been out of it. But what about the restaurant owner? What about the bar owner? What about, and it doesn't even matter, the guy that sells beer at the baseball game, right? The guy that takes your money at the parking garage for the basketball game, or maybe it's the bellhop or the maid or whatever it may be. I mean, they've just devastated us. They've devastated us, and instead of coming up with a great plan to do the best medical things we can do medically for everybody out there, so if you do get it, your chances of recovery are significantly enhanced. Listen, in Arizona, the death rate has fallen before the spike happened. The death rate in Arizona was like 4%. Now down to 1.8. So, I mean, it is getting better. But in any event, there you go. That's my COVID-19 plan. If I was the commander-in-chief, everything would be open. We'd be going back to school, but we'd be getting a handle on this thing. Final segment coming up. Don't touch that dial. Hey, final segment here on this Friday, 800-951-0592. Like I said, it's hard to explain the volumes that are coming into these precious metals markets, the gold markets, the silver markets. It's not going to end. We had central banks, or I guess central governments, more like it. Another 40 metric tons of gold purchased last month. As they keep adding to their portfolios, we need to be doing the same. I promise next week I'm going to get to the dollar. You need to get positioned here for the next leg down in the dollar. That's going to get us. We're going to hit new all-time highs in gold. You're going to see silver. I think silver is going to be in the mid to upper mid 20s before the end of the year. I know that now I'm comfortable saying, listen, we're going to have record high gold prices before the end of the year. I wouldn't be shocked to see 3,000. I really wouldn't, because I think that we screwed it up. Closing the economy was wrong, and I'm looking at it, the back-to-school thing, the canceling of football, the moving of football, and all this other stuff. I think that's going to put more pressure on the dollar. I think that's going to mean more government money, more deficits, higher spending on the balance sheet of the Federal Reserve, the bailouts, the government's picking the winners and the losers, and ultimately, at the end of the day, the sad part is devastation to the middle class once again. That's just what I see happening. I want to be wrong, but I'm just looking at our plan, and it just seems like the media has turned this into a political divide. I don't know how we can close it, and I think we're just in for the long haul. So buckle up. Keep adding to your portfolios. It's Friday. There's not a lot of product out there. I'm exhausted. So here's what I'm going to do. U.S. $20 gold pieces, $19.95. No volumes, no nothing. You buy one, you buy 20, $19.95. That's under the $2,000 price tag. You got gold up again today, back well above eight. I think last time I saw it was 1811, 1812. So U.S. $20 gold pieces, $19.95. I'm going to put a limit 20. Okay, so that's the most you can buy, because I don't have that many, and I want to make sure everyone gets an opportunity. So limit 20 U.S. $20 gold pieces. I'm going to say Liberties. You may get a cent or two, but those are becoming unobtainium as well at 800-951-0592. U.S. $20 gold pieces, $19.95 with a limit of 20. Glenn, any final comments before we head out today?
I am doing an unscientific survey of the coin shortage in my town, and it's fun. It is fun. Do it yourself, ladies and gentlemen. You'll have a ball to see who is and who is not accepting cash and currency. Joe, back to you. Take us out. Well, I guess Joe dropped off. Well, have a great weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Patriot Radio News Hour. Next week, Joe's going to talk about the dollar. That's going to be interesting. Have a great weekend. Jack Daniels Friday.